Thursday, June 17th, 2015. This is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, an Egyptian court upholds the death sentence imposed on ousted President Mohamed Morsi over a 2011 mass jailbreak. Hamas denies reports that it is considering a long-term ceasefire with Israel. And later on the show, we delve into the heart of Mount Sodom, literally, seriously, and explore the science behind some of the Bible's supernatural stories. Good morning, I'm Yael Levi, and we begin today in Egypt, where an Egyptian court upheld a death sentence handed to ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi and other members of the Muslim Brotherhood over a mass prison break during the 2011 uprising that eventually brought him to power. The verdict is subject to appeal. 101 other defendants were also sentenced to death in absentia. Morsi escaped from Wadi Natrum prison in January 2011 and was accused of colluding with foreign militants in a plot to free Islamists during mass prison breaks. Now, the 2011 uprising brought an end to Hosni Mubarak's 30-year rule, and Morsi was elected president a year later. Of course, we all remembered what happened after that. After a year in power, he was ousted as well, in prison, and now this death sentence upheld. The Muslim Brotherhood called for a popular uprising following news of the verdict. The decision was also met by condemnation from the United States and UN, who expressed concern that politically motivated ruling would destabilize Egypt. Joined in studio by Rashid Bet, Arab Affairs correspondent Eran Zinger. Good morning to you. Also by Dr. Benedetta Berti of the INSS. Good morning to you. Before we break this down, let's take a look at the following report.
A death sentence following a 25-year life imprisonment verdict were upheld Tuesday by an Egyptian court against ousted President Mohamed Morsi.
The court has decided to punish these defendants with death by hanging.
After initially sentencing Morsi and more than 100 other defendants to death last month, the court confirmed that the country's first democratically elected president is set for execution for plotting jailbreaks and attacks on police during 2011 uprising in the country, which ended the 30-year rule of Hosni Mubarak. In keeping with Egyptian law, the ruling came after the court consulted Egypt's Grand Mufti, a top religious authority who plays an advisory role. As part of the verdict, the supreme guide of the Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed Badi, was also sentenced to death. Earlier, in a separate ruling, the same judge sentenced Morsi to life in prison on charges of spying for the Palestinian Islamist Hamas movement, Lebanon's militant Hezbollah, and Iran. Morsi was deposed on July 2013 by then Army Chief and now President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, following mass street protests against his rule. He's already serving a 20-year jail term for ordering the arrest and torture of demonstrators, as al-Sisi has been overseeing a sweeping crackdown against Muslim Brotherhood supporters, which has left hundreds of Islamists dead and thousands jailed. The speedy mass trials in Egypt have been described by the United Nations as unprecedented in recent history, but although the verdicts are open to appeals in Egypt's highest appeals court, they mark the reversal of Egypt's political tide since the 2011 revolution.
Joined on the phone from Cairo by freelance journalist and Arabist Annabel Vandenberg. Annabel, good morning to you.
And good morning.
The reactions, first of all, to the fact that this verdict, the death penalty, was upheld for Morsi. Any reactions, Muslim Brotherhoods in the streets, or I'm assuming there are no Muslim Brotherhoods left outside of prison?
Well, there are still a couple of Muslim Brotherhoods left outside of prison, or at least Muslim Brotherhood supporters, but we know that it is very hard for them to now demonstrate or take the streets, because we know that if they do so, they will get arrested and they will be put in jail, even without any valid or legit reason, because now they have this strange law that makes it prohibited for anyone to take the streets and demonstrate.
Yeah, a terrifying law in that respect. I'm mildly just saying so incredibly undemocratic. That said, when it comes to the death penalty of Mohamed Morsi, do we think that at the end of the day, al-Sisi, or is that the thinking inside Egypt, is actually going to let that be carried out? Or are we looking at something, obviously there is an appeal coming up, is something that is just for show and tell, so to speak, for the people of Egypt to show the new power in town?
Well, there is two reasons why to think that they will not really execute Morsi in the end. First of all, because it is to show people indeed that this is the power that the army has, this is the power that the government has, and this is also the power that the police in the street has, because with this judicial system that has become more violent over the last month and over the last year, we've also seen an increase in police violence again in the street. So we can say that these two go hand in hand, they go together. So the regime in total and the security forces have become more violent, more brutal towards all dissidents. So it is a sign, it is showing like, don't mess with us, listen to us, because otherwise this is what happens to all the ones who are not listening and not agreeing with us in the first place. But then secondly, another reason why most probably the death penalty will not be carried out against Morsi is because of martyrdom. I mean, we know that if Morsi will be executed, if
you
that
give
happens,
him more power,
then he will be a martyr. He will be a political martyr and a religious martyr, and that is something that Sisi and the current regime doesn't want to happen.
Cannot afford. Annabelle, thank you. I hope you can stay with us real quick. Eran Zinger, I'm wondering out loud with you, then why is Sisi going through these motions?
Well, first, if you ask the Egyptians, they would tell you Sisi is doing nothing. It's the judicial
it's a judicial system, right?
That we are out of it. They would say that. But I think that what we're seeing, what we're witnessing right now in Egypt, is a message from the new Egypt, of the new administration in Egypt, including the judicial system, to the younger faces in the Muslim Brothers, saying, we are ready to have you participating in our new life, in our new political life, but you should know that the older faces, Mohammed Badi', Morsi, Qatatni, all the others are out of the game because they don't recognize the fact that there is a new administration in Egypt. This is one of the most important things that happened yesterday, because Morsi was asked, or Morsi supporters were asked, whether he is going to appeal, and they said no, he will not appeal because he does not recognize the decision of this court, because for him he is still the president
of Egypt.
Yes. So this is what Sisi is trying to say, and by the way, there are new voices, there are new sounds
within the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes. People are asking questions. Was this the right way? Was this the right thing to do? I mean, taking over Egypt without asking the other elements, or with hurting and attacking the Egyptian establishment, everything that has to do with collaborating with Hamas and with Hezbollah. So I think this is a very important message which is coming from the Egyptian administration, plus the fact that, again, Egypt, is on the verge of having a new cycle of violence. This is what the Egyptians are afraid of. Yes, and I think, as we've just heard from Egypt, the Egyptians will try to do everything they can in order to avoid it, because finally the economy is.
Who would be behind this new wave of violence? Are we looking at movements in the Sinai? Is that what we're looking at, or uprising from within? Because it seems like the Egyptians don't have that in them anymore.
Who was the first one to condemn the decision of the Egyptian court yesterday?
Who was?
Erdogan from Turkey. Elements outside, or Muslim Brothers outside of Egypt, are now making everything they can in order to destabilize Egypt from outside.
Now, Dr. Broidy, in the greater scheme that is the ever-reshifting Middle East and the tectonic plates there, Egypt clearly seems to be enclosing and inwardly clenching in order to maintain power, as Sisi is doing. Is Egypt necessary in the greater battle when it comes to things like ISIS and whatnot? And do they even have the time, apropos, to deal with regional problems such as be third-party negotiators between Hamas and Israel?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I would start by saying right now Egypt is busy economically, politically, and from a security perspective. I would say some of the things the new administration has been doing since they got to power has led to this very same destabilization, meaning the way they've been dealing with political dissidents, the way they've been dealing with political opposition, the way they've been dealing with political Islam under all its shades, and specifically the Brotherhood, has definitely alienated a significant portion of the population, which is a supporter of those parties. And I think that's part of what explains this internal dynamic. It's not, they haven't reached out necessarily to everybody who didn't agree with them. They have been cracking down on them in a pretty brutal way, and definitely not in a democratic one. So I think that can help us explain why there is instability in Egypt. Now, if we want to take this further and see an Egyptian role in the region, well, the question is, what sort of leverage would at this point this particular Egypt have on Hamas? I mean, practically speaking, Egypt has practical leverages on Hamas. They have been closing the border. Rafah has been basically closed most of this year. They've been imposing restrictions. They've been built in a buffer zone. They've been making Gaza even more isolated and have been cracking down on tunnels. So these are all things that Hamas doesn't want Egypt to do. So that would be a leverage. But the level of trust and credibility within the two parties is zero. And let's not forget, Egypt is absolutely committed in its own strategy to weaken any manifestation of the Brotherhood, including Hamas.
If I may add, there's another element that should not be forgotten: the Saudis.
Right.
The Saudis are now leading a whole new procedure in the Middle East, and they're trying
Oddly
to...
enough, semi-recognized by the Israeli Prime Minister. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a meeting of the minds.
Let's put Israel aside in the story before
meeting
talking
of
about
the
Israel.
minds there.
But the Saudis are trying to convince Hamas to go back or to come back to the Sunni moderate Arab
Right.
world, which means go back or come back to Egypt, come back to us, to the Saudis. We need you. And they are trying to do the best they can with the political leadership of Hamas. At the same time, the Iranians are talking to the military wing of Hamas. This is the new situation right now. And I think that it's of the interest of Egypt and Hamas in Gaza to open a new page in their relations.
Hamas has been trying, but from the Egyptian side, it has been coming a little bit better in the past few weeks because the Saudis are pressuring Egypt to change their mind, but we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. And apropos Hamas, that will lead us straight to our next item. As we conclude Egypt, as we said, Morsi, death penalty upheld, but time will tell if it actually will be carried out. Much more behind it as we move along. Staying in the region and apropos Hamas, according to reports in Arab media, leading members of the Gaza-based terrorist group convened in Qatar over the past several days to discuss a proposal for a long-term ceasefire with Israel. According to Palestinian officials quoted, Hamas representative Musa Abu Marzouk went to the Qatari capital of Doha on Saturday in the hopes of finalizing a 3 to 5 year truce with Israel. Now, the reports were denied by Hamas, claiming there would be no deal without the approval of all Palestinian factions. And still with us in studio is obviously Eran Zinger, I-24, and Dr. Benedetta Berti of the INSS. Let's take a look at the following report and break it down from there.
Well, the peace talks between Israel and the Palestinian Authority have been non-existent for a while now. Another potential reconciliation could completely change the power balance. Top Hamas officials have been convening in Qatar, the organization's main supporter, over the past several days to discuss a proposal for a long-term ceasefire with Israel. According to reports in the Palestinian media, Musa Abu Marzouk arrived in Doha from Gaza on Saturday and held a series of meetings with Hamas leader Khalid Mashal, who lives in Qatar, as well as with other senior officials in the organization. The Qatari proposal, supported by Turkey and partially coordinated with the UN Special Envoy to the Middle East, Nikolai Mladenov, involves a long-term ceasefire of between 3 to 5 years and will include ending the blockade of Gaza, in which Israel would allow the construction of a floating seaport off the Gaza coast under either international or Israeli supervision. In exchange, Hamas will commit to a long-term ceasefire, which could be extended. In the past, both Hamas and Israeli officials have not ruled out such a potential truce agreement. Since late August, Israel and Hamas have maintained a ceasefire in a deal brokered by Egypt that ended the 50 days of fighting. But the calm has been tested in recent weeks as Salafist groups have fired rockets from Gaza into Israel, drawing Israeli airstrikes on Hamas facilities.
Israel holds Hamas responsible for any firing from the Gaza Strip towards our territory. I did not hear anybody in the international community condemn this firing. At the United Nations, nobody is uttering anything. It is interesting whether this silence will continue when we exercise with full force our right to defend ourselves.
The current situation in the Gaza Strip is not easy on Hamas, as many Salafist groups holding much more extremist views, some even pledging allegiance to IS, are making it highly difficult for the organization to maintain its grip on power and are attempting to provoke an all-out war and drag Israel into the power struggle. Moreover, there's an increasingly acrimonious rift between the Palestinian Authority ruling the West Bank and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, which, according to some Palestinian officials, will only deepen if such an agreement between Hamas and Israel will indeed be achieved.
Eran Zinger, yes. It's very early in the morning. Yes, Eran Zinger of Reshet Bet, Arab Affairs correspondent, still with us. I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev, and Dr. Benedetta Birdie of the INSS. But Eran, you were just mentioning that there's a report that just came out. You know what? I'm going to rephrase this question. Overnight, we heard also all kinds of reports of supposedly reshuffles about to be happening within the Palestinian government. Some people here are claiming, no, it's falling apart or not, but no, it's a reshuffle. So it seems that leads directly to this notion of proposed or supposed, negotiations with Israel. What is that?
Well, last night we heard the reports coming from Ramallah saying that Abu Mazen is threatening to put an end to this government or to have a reshuffle in the Palestinian government. Now, I think that the reason is more clear or is more understood. What's going on is that Abu Mazen is now seeing what's going on or is hearing the reports coming from Doha, which means what the so-called let's say connections or contacts between Israel and Hamas regarding a new ceasefire between 3 to 5 years, and in return Hamas will have its naval floating port. This is what they want to have. Let me remind you, we are 1 year after the last military operation in Gaza.
Almost exactly.
Hamas have promised their own people that they will have a port, and this is one of their demands. So now, what's the connection between what's going on in Ramallah and what's going on in Gaza? According to a Sharq al-Awsat newspaper, the Palestinians are saying, we are not going to accept the idea that Israel and Hamas are doing something behind our back. In other words, a Palestinian official is quoted as saying, we are refusing any kind of suspicious deals. This is what he's saying between Israel and Hamas.
It's a narrative that we used to hear from...
By the way, when you hear these kinds of reactions, it means that something is going on behind
the scene. And speaking of which, this is a perfect time to go straight to Gaza, where we're joined by Hamas Deputy Foreign Minister Dr. Razi Hamad. Dr. Hamad, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are there negotiations about a 3 to 5 year ceasefire between Israel and Hamas going on between the two parties via a third party?
Yeah, and I'm also surprised that there is kind of exaggeration in this story. People make it like a big monster. And I think there is something concrete and something is tangible in all these stories, which is all in news, in all headlines everywhere. Because I think that till now nothing is clear about this. Who is put these proposals, who participated in this negotiation. But let me just to clarify that I can say, first of all, there is no direct or indirect context between Hamas and Israel about the point. And what happened that some officials coming from Europe discussed with Hamas with some proposals, but I cannot say there is something is final that there is negotiation or talks or something signed between both sides. I think that some people direct the story towards kind of illusion. I think it's a big illusion. I'm so sorry to say that.
No, Dr. Hamad, hold on 1 second. I mean, if it's a big illusion, and it begs the question of why this is coming out right now. But
Dr. Hamad, you're saying that there aren't any direct negotiations between Israel and Hamas, but maybe we don't need any direct negotiations because we have the Germans, we have the Qataris, we have the Turks to help in this process. So maybe there are some kind of negotiations with the help of a third party.
Who can confirm that that there's a proposal from Turkey or Qatar or something? Do you see something written or something is stated by Qatar or by Qatari, even by Hamas leaders? I participated in some negotiation with some European countries, and I think, as I said, no one put a final proposal, say that this is something can be accepted by Hamas or accepted by Israel. Just people exchange some ideas, but I say that some people try to show that this is we are very close to the final agreement with Israel. Maybe people try to put a split and division among the Palestinians, and to show that Hamas is making a separate agreement with Israel, and they want to be separated.
Would there be, Dr. Hamad, but would there be, Dr. Hamad, I appreciate and I accept your answer, but would there be an agreement on the part of Hamas, and people here are saying You know, people regionally are saying that actually even the talks about the Palestinian government and the reshuffles there and the PA being in charge of the border crossings are all setting up the conditions for some sort of a 3 to 5 year tahadiyah or hudna between Israel and Hamas. Is that something, though, that Hamas would consider accepting, given the situation in the Gaza Strip right now and the incredible need for the time to sit back and actually reconstruct?
Look, I think our position we are very clear. We are not against the idea of the ceasefire, and we said that if you want to accept the ceasefire, you have to lift the if there is what's called a full ceasefire, there should be full lift of the blockade in Gaza. But I think Hamas said, frankly, we will not make this understanding or disagreement separated. We have to make it with all Palestinian factions, even with the coordination with the Palestinian Authority, because we don't. And I want to say that Hamas is going to build an empire entirety in Gaza Strip. This is not true. But I tell now that the problem that now Israel does not give any feedback, any reactions, any positive signals about the situation and about even the attempts of some officials from Europe now to go here or there. But I think that Israel try. This is a policy of Israel now to keep Gaza. Now is just surviving, open some gates and some crossings, supply Gaza with their food and materials. But they want to keep Gaza under control and to keep Gaza also separated from this West Bank. We are very careful not to go in this plan, which is done by the Israeli authorities.
Okay, Dr. Hamad, I want to thank you for giving us the information that you could have from Gaza and for speaking to us from Gaza this morning. Dr. Berdy, at the end of the day, there are negotiations going on, aren't there?
Well, I think we have to ask in whose interest is to get this out right now, and why. Let's say, and I cannot confirm, but assume that there's been contests for, let's say, a couple of months. And let's see that these contests have actually been going somewhere, and this is not something new at all. But all of a sudden, from Ramallah, you start hearing more and more reports about this. Is there probably, could you speculate that there is an interest from the Palestinian Authority to make sure that any specific deal that is struck indirectly, not through direct negotiations with Hamas, is stopped at the beginning, because from the PA there continues to be a great concern that anything that might strengthen Hamas. I think you can have that educated guess about what's going on. In terms of is there something to discuss, which I think it's a question we can definitely ask. The answer is yes. There is something to discuss.
There is something to it. But we're going to move along now to the big people who will decide if anything is signed and if they really care, and that would be the United States. Dr. Berdy and Eran Zinger, thank you for being with us this morning as we move along. Michael Oren, former Israeli ambassador to the United States and now a Knesset member with the Kulana Party, wrote yesterday that President Barack Obama, deliberately abandoned a 40-year core policy regarding Jewish population centers in the West Bank. Writing that in the Wall Street Journal, Oren stated that President Obama is a friend of Israel, but nevertheless maintained that while anyone can make a mistake, President Obama did so on purpose. Harsh words. It is an interesting timing, not just compounded by the upcoming book that Oren is about to publish, but also rather by the low standing of the Israeli-American relations in the last several years, which is due to reach a climax when June 30th arrives and a prospective deal between world powers and Iran is due to be finalized. All that in the midst of an upcoming U.S. elections. Joining studio by I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev, from Washington, D.C., Rebecca Shimoni-Storley. Tal, I'm going to start straight with you. There were reports yesterday that the White House supposedly invited Prime Minister Netanyahu in the middle of July after a deal that has not been confirmed, or I think it's been denied. Been denied
by both sides.
By both sides. Then this comes out by Michael Oren. It's a harsh article about Obama. Where does it all stand when it comes to Israel-U.S. relations? And at the end of the day, also, does Netanyahu care, or is he looking just at 2016?
Well, let's talk a bit about this Michael Oren new memoir. It's definitely creating a lot of noise in Washington, especially amongst the American Jewish community, as opposed to the current ambassador, Ron Dermer, who is definitely not one of the most popular people in Washington. Michael Oren was accepted both by the administration and very popular in the Jewish community. That is why these words, his harsh words towards President Obama, are very significant. The White House was surprised, from what I understand, from some of the revelations in the book, and no longer a diplomat. Definitely, Oren is taking his gloves off. But when you read the book and you read excerpts from the book, you see that much of it is about Oren himself. and about him looking at the world from the historian. He's a historian, history professor, historian point of view. Actually, there are not much very significant revelations as one would expect from these very dramatic 4 years of that Oren did see and was part of. You do not hear a lot of outstanding revelations from behind the closed doors, the meetings between Netanyahu and Obama. But the White House definitely has not responded yet, and this is not helpful for the current relationship and for the current standing between Washington and Jerusalem.
Speaking of the White House, Rebecca Shimoni still with us from Washington, D.C. Thank you for staying on so long. Rebecca, will there be a reaction, or is this just another notch in the belt that I'm assuming the White House is sitting there nodding their heads going, those Israelis?
Well, I think that there's the overt reaction and then there's the behind-the-scenes reaction. And certainly, yes, I would imagine that the White House basically will not respond to a memoir. There's been a lot of memoirs that this administration has had to deal with, both from within the administration, especially from within the administration, as well as from without it, that have portrayed the administration in a less than flattering light. And in that sense, this is yet another in a series. And I think this is hardly the most damaging to the administration compared to some that came from within the administration, like that of former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta.
Right.
On the other hand, it is true that Oren was seen here in Washington as the good ambassador, as the good Israeli, as the one you could talk to.
As opposed to Ron Dermer, yeah.
As opposed to Ron Dermer.
He's also not right.
No, yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
Sorry.
And so it is significant that it is coming from him. I think it's particularly significant in policy circles. And we've already seen people who are kind of 1 foot in the administration, 1 foot out, such as David Makovsky, taking Oren's account of things to task. So that's not an official administration response, but Makovsky, who was part of the recent negotiating team together with Martin Indyk, has said, well, no, what he's saying isn't exactly true. In fact, it's rather inaccurate when it comes to the violation of the, quote, no surprises rule. And so we've seen people who aren't administration officials per se responding to Oren and saying, no, this is a bit of an exaggeration.
Okay. Rebecca, thank you for being with us. Tal Shalev, as always, and you are going to be staying with us throughout the show. When we get back, the first Arab Museum of Contemporary Art in Israel opens today in Sahnin. We'll take a closer look on what that means to Arab culture and whatever's left of it or exists in Israel. First, the news. Good morning, I-24 News Morning Edition, the place you should be. Why? Because today is June...
it's August 4th. Okay, sorry. It's June 17th.
I will forgive you because you're hungover.
You're not supposed to say that. Oh, now I'm in trouble. Okay,
that is okay. I'm still licking the wounds of the weekend. And that is the morning of people who drink. But that said, it is June. It is 2015. It is the time to hear the news you've missed while scanning the headlines. And boy, was there a lot of it. And for that, we have Mr. Kaufman.
Yes. Let's go to the man and the comb-over.
Yes.
He is the 12th Republican... What?
No,
you're going to say what?
You know, the
Go
first
ahead.
thing that popped into my head was Netanyahu, but I was like, no. Okay.
Oh, really? You know what? That's...
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
12th Republican to join the race, Donald Trump, announced that he is running for president. We have a clip of him announcing this. I think it's great. Let's take a few seconds to look at it.
Yes, please.
You know, all of my life I've heard that a truly successful person, a really, really successful person, and even modestly successful, cannot run for public office. Just can't happen. And yet that's the kind of mindset that you need to make this country great again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Wow. Wow. That was... Does it get any more dramatic than that?
As an American, I am relieved. No, I am relieved. I find it hard, and you know what? We're sitting here in the Levant, and I can say it because I think nobody will revoke my American citizenship. How can anyone take that man and the hair.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Yeah, I know, it's tough.
Plus, what's with the whole, you cannot be successful and run? Did you get that?
I didn't know. That's one of the many oxymorons I think we're going to see from Trump. He did it in the Trump Tower, the lavish Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. He chose the best spot in New York to announce it. He also announced
a great restaurant in the basement called The George. I just want to flaunt that. Yes.
He also said that the Gucci store in the Trump Tower is worth already more than Mitt Romney. And he also said that he's worth $8.7 billion. He announced that yesterday.
And he's bored.
Everybody thought that he was only worth $4 billion. Now it turns out he's worth at least more than twice than that. So it's going to be really exciting.
It's going to be so much fun.
And you know what? I'm really happy that he's in because it's just going to be fun.
I can see.
And what's even more fun is that this happened the day after Jeb Bush announced. But we have a clip also of Jeb Bush who came onto the Jimmy Fallon show last night and did some
Christmas.
Slow jamming the news. And this is a fun one as well. Let's take a look at this one.
Here's a present to you guys.
Yesterday in Miami, I formally announced my candidacy for President of the United States. I thought long and hard about this decision, and after careful consideration, I determined that now was the right time to launch my campaign for the Republican nomination.
Oh, yeah. The governor thought long and hard about joining the GOP race. After months of being a total caucus tease.
I mean, I think we're going to have to move back to the States, you and I.
Isn't it fun?
This is just so fun.
Americans know how to have fun with their... They give good elections.
They give really good elections. And I want to say, this was like Flight 747, now boarding gate 3. But,
so smooth,
beautiful.
Trump,
beautiful
Bush,
And now, you were the man who actually said to me that it was looking so strong. Well, we don't know. It's so early. It's primaries. I mean, the fun is just beginning.
The fun is just beginning.
But you were saying to me the other day that it is Hillary's to lose right now.
It is Hillary's to lose. Yeah. She doesn't really have anyone that's really strong up against her.
In the
but I think the
Democratic
Republican side is just so much more interesting.
Phenomenal,
there's a reason. There's a reason why there are so many people in the field right now, and that's because there is no real strong front runner. Jeb Bush is a front runner, but he's considered a weak front runner, and that is the reason why Donald Trump is in this race. After he's been deliberating for 20 years, he said, finally, I'm going to jump in.
And I just want to remind you, that people, I'm not going to give this an adjective, but people refer to him as the smart Bush.
The smart Bush, right.
I'm just saying. Okay. Yes, Ed.
We're going to stick with America because this is a wonderful story. Rachel Dolezal, the white woman, the former, because she quit, the former head of the chapter in Spokane, Washington of the NAACP, who claims that she is black and she is not.
Yeah.
Just went on yesterday on the Today Show. She had a few interviews on NBC, and she is sticking to her story. She is not backing down. Let's see what she said to Matt Lauer on the Today Show when he asked her some really tough questions.
Let's have a look.
Let me just ask you the question in simple terms again, because you've sent mixed signals over the years. Are you an African-American woman?
I identify as black.
You identify as black. Let me put a picture up of you in your early 20s, though. And when you see this picture, is this an African-American woman? Let me just ask you
that is not an African-American woman there.
No. And I mean,
yeah.
It will basically be, and I'm going to have to say it, because when a woman like Rachel Dolezal does that, it would... Look, I just want to tell you, Ami, I have a confession to make. Okay, I'm also black.
Oh.
Yeah.
You look like it.
You look like it. I look like it.
We're going to get to that because some people reacted to that. If we, first of all, she talked to Savannah Guthrie on NBC Nightly News, and she says, "I am more black than I am white." She also said that actually, as a kid, she started. This whole thing started as a kid. I was drawing self-portraits with the brown crayon instead of the peach crayon and the black curly hair. And then her folks came on to Fox News and said that never happened. She never drew pictures of black people or herself as a black person. She did enjoy being around, it just never stops.
I was drawing pictures of myself with a green crayon. What does that mean about me?
And if things aren't complicated enough, as we can see in the next item, Mother Jones, they say that she sued Howard University when she was a student there. Howard University is a predominantly black
it's like the Harvard of African Americans.
Exactly, black university, and she's sued them for apparently discrimination for her being white. She said that school officials improperly blocked her appointment to a teaching assistant post, rejected her application for a postgraduate instructorship, and denied her scholarship aid while she was a student.
It's just crazy.
That lawsuit was thrown out. Nobody believed it.
Yeah.
And this is a fun one from Salon.
Yes.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the legendary basketball player, wrote an op-ed kind of taking a jab at her, but he also defended her. He started with this little jab. Although I've been claiming to be 7'2" for many decades, the truth is that I am 5'8". And that's when I first get out of bed in the morning, just to go to show you, you tell a lie often enough and people believe you.
And people believe it.
But listen to this, there was a twist at the end, and this is coming from an African American. He says, you can't deny that Dolezal has proven herself a fierce and unrelenting champion for African Americans politically and culturally. So he's kind of saying, let's be a little soft on her.
As the head of the, to reach the level of, you know, the president of the NAACP chapter in Washington, Spokane, clearly, you know, she fought for the cause, but I mean, this is a woman that needs to be.
And by the way, she is not the, apparently, as the Daily Beast shows, she's not the only white person who leads a chapter of the NAACP. The Daily Beast found a person, his name is Donald Harris. He leads a chapter in Arizona, and look at this. He is born in Brooklyn, he is a Jew, and he is volunteer in the Israeli army. They found some pics of him as a volunteer. Let's show some of these pics.
Let's take a picture. Let's look at the pictures. The volunteer of him at the Indian. There we go.
There we go. There's always an Israeli connection.
There's always one. There's always one. And somehow, and somewhere there also will be blamed for this. But, you know, somewhere...
Or Netanyahu could spin it the other way and say, hey, look how liberal we are, and, you know, as a Jew...
There you go. Next Pride Parade, he's fronting it. But, I mean, what I'll say in his, probably I'm assuming, we know it, he at least did not say he was black.
Right. Okay. He's not lying.
He's not lying. He's definitely, I'm for the cause, but I'm also who I am. Which, there we go.
Another one of our favorite stories, the Shawshank Redemption kind of story.
Yes, and would be our last one.
Okay, we have a video I want to show, some updates, if we have time for that. I'm not sure if we have time for that.
I don't think we do, but...
Okay, well, the prison worker, Joyce Mitchell, is now being accused of having sex with both of the inmates. She was supposed to drive them after they escaped, but she got cold feet, and that's when things turned bad.
It's a movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a movie. It's already being written in Hollywood. Stay in your seat as we move along. Moving on to something entirely different. Today marks the opening of Israel's first Arab Museum of Contemporary Art, located in the northern city of Sahnin. In days where Israeli Arab citizens aren't allowed to have an annual book week, the museum, dedicated to traditional and contemporary Arab art, is more relevant than ever. The goal of the museum is to exhibit local and international art in order to promote peace and dialogue by means of artistic activities, mutual confidence building between neighbors, and a strengthening of values of equality. And in days like these in the Middle East, those are wonderful words to hear. We're going to go live now to I-24 News' Gabi Weiniger, who is on the scene in Sahnin to be the first to enter the new museum. Gabi, good morning to you, and tell us where you're at, what you're seeing, and what this is about.
Well, I'm here in Sahnin in the Lower Galilee, about 25 kilometers from Akko, and this is a very special day today. It's the inauguration of the first ever museum of its kind. As you said, it's the first modern art museum in an Arab city in Israel. So I'm joined here by the two co-founders of the museum, Avital Bar-Shai and Bilu Simeon Sainaru, sorry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Now, Gabi, go ahead and ask them what they're doing.
So tell me
there.
a little bit about your vision. I'm sorry, tell me a little bit about your vision for the show and why you decided to found this museum.
The vision is to have contemporary art all over Israel, and most of the activity is centered in Tel Aviv area, where is a wealthy part of the population is living, and also north of Israel, like Galil area. In Sahnin is part of Galil. They also deserve to have contemporary art around their houses and cities. So the idea is to make here an institutions to create that will expose contemporary art of Israeli artists, Jewish, Muslims, Druze, Christians, so from communities that are living here, and also artists from the Middle East, like Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Syria, also Syrian artists we have in this exhibition, and from the Mediterranean countries.
How did you curate all these different people? You're all over the world, all across the Mediterranean, across the Arab world, also Druze and Palestinians here. How did you choose the artists? Did they come to you? Did you go to them?
Normally it's both, you know, artist always wants to be exposed, but also we choose artists that fit to our idea. We wanted here also to expose, you know, artists that also deal with problems that are contemporary, you know, like the Syrian problems that people don't have houses, are killed, and it's really a disaster there. And it's a Syrian artist speaks about this, that he doesn't have country anymore. Or the problem of foreign workers that come from poor countries, you know, to Europe to find work. Artists that deal with such issues, and also artists that also deal with showing their own surroundings. Like we have an artist from Afghanistan that shows images from Kabul, from her family. And as you know, Israel doesn't have relations with Afghanistan. But through this artist, we can get a kind of dialogue, and the name of the exhibition, it's in Arabic, Hiwar, and means dialogue between artists, and we overcome the local conflicts that are really, now I can say the area is really burning.
Yes. So how did you, do you think that there were Palestinian people helping you to create this museum? Was it mostly a local effort, or it was part of the government? Who was helping you?
Normally not the government and not Palestinians or whatever. We got help from this, but most of the help we got somehow from Europe. So it's a private initiative of two of us, me and Avital. But impact is the impact of the people around. So it's a social and cultural and political initiative.
Let me turn to you, Avital. Hello. What was your vision for this project?
Also, it's to expose women artists. There are a lot of women artists, like the artists from Afghanistan, artists from Germany, and to expose their work to the other people.
Can you tell me a little bit about one woman that was especially special for this exhibition, something that you can explain to us?
I think there is an artist woman from Iran that calls Anait Razmi, and she's a feminist artist, and she's telling about her life in Iran.
Okay, and any Palestinian women who are exhibiting here?
There is a Palestinian man that called Raed Bawaya, that he a photographer, that he photographed his surrounding.
He's from Ramallah, right?
Yes.
And he talks a bit about his childhood, but also with a wider political message. Do you think there's a wider political message in what you're doing here today?
I think that we are doing such a thing like a museum in an Arab city, and we are Jewish citizens, so this is a political statement.
See, a political statement indeed. Well, this exhibition, Hiwar, is going on till December. There are special opening hours in Ramadan, so make sure to look them up. And today is the opening day, so congratulations to the founders, and back to you, Yael.
Gabi, thank you so much for joining us. As we mentioned, it's the first, actually, Arab contemporary art museum to open in Sahnin. It's sad that it's the only one, but maybe the first one is a start. When we get back, we go off the beaten track and into the heart of a mountain made of salt, literally, physically. Yes, stay with us. It's going to be fabulous. First, the news. Welcome back. It is still Wednesday, June 17th, 2015. This is still your morning edition on I-24 News. Last I checked, I'm still Yael Levi. And thank you for staying with us, as you should have, because the next one supposedly is the best piece ever. Israel, to many, the Holy Land, whether you're Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, is rich in history dating back to biblical times, don't we know it? Millions of pilgrims and tourists flock to the country every year to walk in the footsteps of King David, the ancient prophets, and of course, Jesus. In this segment of the show, we are very happy to be airing the first in the three-part series of reports we call Israel Underground, in which we get a glimpse of history from a bottom-up perspective. And joining me in studio is I-24 News morning editor Ron Friedman.
Morning.
Yes, you went way beyond the call of duty and way under, so to speak. And of course, also the editor of Hayadan, science news site, Avi Bilzovsky. Because we're going to break down this whole notion and connection between science and religion, a topic that can aggravate many, many people. And of course, if we're going to aggravate people, we also have Ami Kaufman in studio with us. That's your job. Let's first take a look at Ron Friedman's first report in this series that we're very excited to launch, and take it from there.
According to the book of Genesis, the ancient cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by God's wrath. The only survivors, a single family headed by the town's lone righteous man, Lot. Even his family wasn't spared entirely. His wife, defying the orders of angels, looked back to see the destruction and was turned into a pillar of salt. This rock structure on the coast of the Dead Sea, which slightly resembles a human figure, is known as Lot's wife, and what ties the mountain ridge it's part of to the biblical story. The real explanation, of course, lies in the region's distinct geology. The quick erosion of salt relative to rock means the geological processes here work as if they were on steroids, including the creation of a vast network of caves, which is what we came here to see.
So we're here actually overlooking the Dead Sea and Mount Sodom. On the right is the sea itself, and behind it, on the other side of the sea, it's hard to make out, but those are the Jordanian mountains. On the left, right behind me, it's Mount Sodom itself.
The mountain, which is made almost entirely of salt, is the result of the crust of the Dead Sea sinking and pushing its deposit upwards.
So we promised to take you into the heart of Mount Sodom, but in order to do so, we have to climb all the way up there. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
After a short but steep climb, we make it to the top and the entrance to the cave, and gear up for the descent into the bowels of the mountain.
So I'm dangling here 80 meters above the bottom of the cave. A bit uncomfortable, I have to tell you the truth. Depending on my guides to keep me safe, I'll feel a lot better when I'm down on the bottom.
Safely at the bottom of the cave, we get to witness the unique beauty of the salt caves of Mount Sodom.
One of these amazing features about this cave are these stalagmites that over tens of thousands of years have developed. Now, like everything else here, they're made of salt, and I can just pick it up, break off a piece, salt. You crumble it up, put it on your salad, put it in your soup.
Inside is a maze of rock shelves and passages, very easy to get lost in if you don't have a guide. In some places, getting through means crawling on your stomach.
Army training put into work. So we've been walking in the cave for about half an hour now, and you're constantly reminded that we're covered by salt everywhere. And I've been told it's traditional to lick the walls of the cave. Also helps return the body's electrolytes. So here goes. Tasty.
The complete absence of natural light and sound underground offers an eerie experience. After spending a few hours touring the bowels of the mountain, it's great to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Feels like I was just given birth to by a mountain. An incredible experience here in the Koner Cave in Mount Sodom. Once in a lifetime experience.
First of all, I'm speechless. We're going to start first with Ron Friedman, because Ron, I mean, this is why we pay you the big bucks.
Oh, yes.
This is really that made the sound clear. But I think I'm putting aside the fact that you licked the mountain and then you came out of its entrance, all the phallic notions in it. It's a remarkable place, isn't it? I mean, you go in there, what do you see? Obviously,
it was an amazing experience, and this is like, the first part of a series, and you know, I've gotten to know caves much deeper, so to speak. First of all, I want to say thank you to the people who guided us, folks at Exterior 8 Tour Company.
And your mother.
And of course. They helped us out, gave us all the equipment, showed us, you know, took us safely down into the mountain. You saw some of the places there were kind of edgy. Incredible experience. You know,
it's deep underground. One thing I take away from it that I probably have to lose a bit of weight because some of those passages were kind of narrow, but that's for next time. In general, I mean, it's one of these places that you don't get to see. I never thought I'd be in the heart of a mountain made entirely of salt. Beautiful, beautiful views. You can't even, the piece doesn't even do justice how beautiful it is and how eerie it is inside. It's completely without air, completely without, I mean, you can breathe, but there's no wind, there's no sound, there's no light. It's an incredible
Not for
experience.
naught, they call it the, I think, in Hebrew it's always referred to as the, the whole area, but it is the Sea of Death. And
Absolutely.
And that's what it feels like. And Avi, with us also, as we said, the editor of Hayad'an Science News site, Avi Bilzovsky. Before we touch on, first of all, how does a phenomenon like this even happen? Because in Jewish, I don't want to call it, in Jewish religious history or Jewish religious mythology, if you want to say, that area is the basis of many, many things. As if you do evil, this is what's going to happen to you. But, essentially, it's if nature does one thing, then this will happen, right? How does this happen?
Technically, it's a wall of salt that left from a cave that crashed 2,000 years BC, approximately, or 4,000 years ago. By an earthquake. That's not rare there. Of course, it's on the rift.
It's on the rift, and that's why you also, if one goes down to that area, one can see always the, the cracks, whatnot. So this is an earthquake that happened.
Yeah.
But
and also maybe it destroyed little towns there, but it's not a problem because it happened all the time there.
Now, when it comes to the caves like that happens all the time there. No,
the caves, it's a natural phenomena that took quite millions of years to evolve.
And
one of the destruction could be in a second. That's not a problem.
Yes, don't we know it? If not nature-made, but also man-made.
Yeah.
But that said, when we look at I just want to touch with you a little bit about religion versus science.
The story of the pillars of salt of Lot's wife,
exactly.
It's very simple because it's a natural phenomena, but people want to tell a story with a moral.
Exactly. What do you mean it's a natural phenomenon? It's a natural phenomenon. Was it a natural? Not. It's a non-natural phenomenon.
It's not a wife.
It's not the wife of Lot, people.
No, just salt. It was salt for all the time.
I feel like you.
But what the problem is that they saw a beautiful scene and that they decided to put a story inside it.
And that's not the only case. I mean, we're familiar with other biblical stories that do have scientific explanations, and sometimes the biblical story is a result of something that happens in science or in nature, and sometimes you find something in nature and you lend it to the story. And
no, I mean, I'm going to say it as a secular Jew because that's the one thing that I'm always obsessed with. If you're looking at, and you're the scientist, if we're looking at a story like Lot's wife, you say this is a natural phenomenon. But we can say that on many incidents in the Bible. For example, burning bush, Moses and the burning bush.
Or Noah's Ark.
Yeah. What was Noah's Ark?
Noah's Ark is a very beautiful story. It's, of course, technically and scientifically cannot be true because there are not enough water on Earth to raise so much. But it could be a local event, and that's what
such as what, that like a dam fell apart, or the
it's we are going out from an ice age, not now, but for the last 10,000 years.
We're still coming out of the ice age. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we add to that man-made heating, but after the ice age, the
water level
was up, went up, and then the Bosphorus were flooded, and the valley behind them was covered with water.
Was covered with water.
And then probably some people, by mistake, saved by a boat because they were there an old lake and.
And they felt
that
it was an act of God that they were saved, and 2,000 years later, or 5,000 years later, we pay the price for it.
Right, we have to get the Bible still.
Exactly, in many ways, but it's fascinating, and it's fascinating to see what nature does and how our human minds work in order to try and make sense of it. But Ron, that's exactly what you're going to do with this series.
Exactly.
In many, many ways. And tell us, please, what the next, because these are, I think it's things that people don't see quite often coming out of the Middle East. What is the next installment?
So next time we're going up to the north. If this time we're in the Dead Sea, next time we're going up to the north, to the Galilee. No spoilers, but a completely different cave. Again, going underground, but we're going to take that and tell a bit of the wider story about the different peoples that came to Israel based on geopolitical crises that happened hundreds of years ago. And as we know, yes, history and hundreds of years ago will always happen. Fabulous stuff. Thank you so much for being with me here. And you're locked in studio because it's a cave. It's the cave that is Ami Kaufman's viral spiral that is the web review. Yes, I will try to contain my excitement. Yeah. But try and top that, my God.
Oh, I can't top that. There's no way I'm going to top that.
But, it's impossible.
We're lucky that there's some clean-shaven men in the studio right now because, as this Smashable item will tell you, it's the most...
Thank you.
I said men.
Okay. Yes.
But bad news for hipsters. Apparently, the beard is over. It's out. No more beards.
God.
Hipsters are going to have. This is a really big blow for people in Brooklyn, I imagine. Brooklyn is going to change. And this is as a result of the emergence of what we call now. There's a new term. Listen to this. It's called the yucky. You know, you had hipsters, millennials, yuppies. This is the yucky. The yucky is the young urban creative person.
Now, yucky with a C.
With a C.
With a C, okay.
Actually with two C's, but it's pronounced yucky. Now what is a yucky? It's a hybrid species who cares about prestige and materialism like the yuppies of the 80s, but also holds creativity and autonomy dear, just like the hipsters of the early 2000s. This means that beards are out.
Beards are out. I'm still horrified by the fact that there will be a generation out there called the yuckies.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah, the disgusting, the yuckies, yeah. Okay.
Off to BuzzFeed. There's a nice item here about Iranian women who are showing their hair. It started with a woman called the Masih Ali-Najad. She is now in America. She started posting pictures of her when she was wearing a hijab, and then she started taking it off. She started a web page, a Facebook page called My Stealthy Freedom. It now has almost 1 million likes. Wow. And there are Iranian women who are putting pictures of themselves taking, as we can see, taking their scarves off, taking their hijabs off. These are people who are. It's very dangerous to do that in Iran.
Very much so.
You can be fined very heavily. And these are very brave women who are putting their pictures on Facebook. And
coming out of Iran itself.
Yeah, these are Iranian women in Iran.
Iranian women in Iran.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, really amazing.
No. Maybe change is,
Another one from BuzzFeed, the movie Jurassic World just came out, and it broke the record of over $500 million in its first. Now I don't know if there's a group of pranksters. They did this thing called the spider dog prank. I don't know if you saw it. A dog that stuff. I won't go into it.
Okay.
But they decided to prank Chris Pratt, the star of Jurassic World, full of dinosaurs.
Right.
Let's see how they did it.
Let's see what they did.
He was scared. He was scared. The rest of the video is him cursing the people who did it. We didn't have enough time for that.
Sadly, we have to. Remember, there's one last one.
You can now use emoji as a password if you're for your online banking. And if I just wanted to share you my emoji, I decided my emoji is going to be pizza, pizza, smiley, party hat, pizza, pizza, pizza. That's what I want my password to be.
I want those, I want penguin, penguin, fire, and pistol.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah. Mine would probably be just pistol, 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 pistol. And that was it for us, but phenomenal stuff. And as we said, that was Ron Friedman's, the beginning of his series that will take you inside the battle, the bottom, the belly that is the caves of Israel, water and whatnot. And of course, stay with us. When we get back, political Instagrams of midweek. And first, the news. Good morning, I-24 News Morning Edition. I keep looking down. June 17th, 2015. Tal Heinrich is looking very relaxed.
Very tired.
Very tired.
After watching the NBA Finals.
Okay, but what's happened with Blatt?
We lost.
We. Thank you. I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Tal, it's the Tal Show, as Tal said. Tal Shalev, you're chiming in the right way because so he's Jewish, Blatt. So what?
Yes, actually, the team that won is the one who deserved it the most. So, exactly, yeah.
Let it go.
I put it out.
Let it go.
Yeah,
you put
exactly.
it out. Tal Heinrich, the host of The Focus magazine on I-24 News, here with the preview of what is expected on the show tonight and what is expected.
Focus on Milan, the city that had been chosen to host the 2015 Expo exhibition. I know you've been talking about it a lot here in this show.
Not only that, we even sent somebody out there at a certain point.
Exactly. Yes. So we interviewed people in certain different positions working within this exposition. And you know, the title under which this exposition is running is Feeding the Planet Energy for Life, which means that more than 140 countries around from the world are showing the best of their technology aimed at, you know, giving an answer to this vital need, food, and guaranteeing healthy and sufficient food for everyone. So it is very obvious why an Italian city would have chosen this theme, food. But we asked the general manager in this expo named Piero Galli if there's more into this decision than, you know, Italy.
Food is more and more a cross-international topic for discussion, and it embraces all sorts of challenges that the various populations will have to face in the next coming years. I'd like to recall that in the next 30 years or so, most of the associations and the international bodies predict our overall planet populations to be about 9 billion people. This will emphasize, I would say, all the issues and the problems that we're already facing today in terms of availability of food, food safety, obese people versus the ones that are below nutrition level and so forth. This is somehow affecting all countries, not only the ones which they suffer the most, but also the ones which are more developed.
Malthus, yeah.
No, essentially, I was about to think that, you know, we're killing each other and we're running out of food as well, in some ways. Oh, nice.
And here's a more positive thing about this expo. Exactly. So, you know, it actually created many new jobs. Around 650 new jobs were created for this exposition. And 300 for young people. And this is also very interesting.
Especially in a place, I don't want to say just Italy, but in a place like Europe where, you know, we know that the financial situation for all the countries has not been faring so well. So, you know, that's a good, you know,
and
that's
it's also a great honor, you know, to be representing your country in such an international platform. And we talked to a girl who's now a student, who's now doing this, going through this special opportunity she received. Her name is Claire Moscovich, and she's taking part in the Student Ambassador Program of the United States Pavilion. She told us about this.
Yes.
Okay, well, the Student Ambassador Program represents the best and the brightest of America. We come from 94 universities, 35 states, and collectively we speak 28 languages. I think we're all really excited to be in Milan, to be part of the global discussion on food security.
I'm going to try and not be my sarcastic 40-year-old something.
You didn't like this part.
It's just, you know, I am also half American and I am very old, as Tal Shalev will attest to, but that said...
But it's a great program, you know.
It is, it's a great program. I'm jealous, that's all.
Okay, so as you know, Focus is not only dealing with the main issue, which is the expo, but also a bit more local stories, and Milan is very famous for its two major soccer clubs. AC Milan, and Inter. Are you a fan of?
No, I'm a fan of soccer players.
Oh, okay. So, I see.
Or Italian men.
Exactly, in general. So the Rossoneri. And the owner of AC Milan is also the former Prime Minister of Italy, Silvio Berlusconi. And something like a year and a half ago, they inaugurated new headquarters for the team called Casa Milan, like the house
Casa
of
Milan,
of course, and a new museum, which is called Mondo Milan. I assume that it is world, right? Mondo is world.
That's as in Mondial.
So something very interesting about this museum is the special technological methods used by this museum. And the museum curator, his name is Mr. Marco Amato. He told us about a wristband that every guest receives once he enters this museum.
Let's have a listen.
We have a lot of interactive way to enter in contact with the contents of the museum. I have in my hands this wristband. It's an RFID wristband system that allows all the visitors to connect to the content of the museum. At the entrance, we register each visitor and put a connection of this wristband with an email. During the visit, all the visitors could vote the object that they find inside the museum. Could be object of the past of the Milan, a shirt, a pair of boots, but also the trophies that they like. There is a system that allows to count all the votes and shoot a picture to each visitor. At the end of the visit, you receive an email with all the objects that you vote, all the trophy, all the shirts, and the object that you like, and also your picture. So you have a kind of virtual tour at your home in your PC to see what you like. And for us, it's an instrument to know what the people prefer.
And for me, it is an instrument to look at you. Who cares? I didn't really understand much of what he said, but we're like...
Well, that's the best you could come up with from Milan Men. I'm sorry.
No, but there's a picture of Kaká behind it.
And that's what we were looking at. Phenomenal. This airs tonight at what time?
I think 6:40 GMT.
You heard it from the host of the show. She knows the time. It airs 6:40 GMT.
I mean 9:40 local. But
9
yeah.
for bingo.
Right.
Of The View coming out of Milan, the expo, you must watch it. And we must move to Tal Shalev with anything and everything that is the political Instagram.
We have so much today. We're going to start with the most exciting event that happened Monday afternoon. It finally happened. Jeb launched his campaign.
Yes.
He's the 10th GOP candidate. He gave a crowd-rousing speech and with music of Latino songstresses, and he used Spanish.
But he's going the Bush's way. They always appeal to the Hispanic, Latino vote. Okay.
He's also going for the young vote. He's playing a very strong digital game. He launched a new hashtag, All In for Jeb. He had a new logo posted on Sunday afternoon on Twitter. This was one photo that he posted. The other one, he had a series of photos from this speech.
There's Mom.
Barbara and Colomba, his wife, two of the most important women in my life.
Stop. His wife is called what?
Colomba.
Okay. I just needed to hear that once again.
And he posted a video. As we said, he's playing for young voters. If we can see the video he posted.
Let's take a look.
This is the graffiti artist, Tony Alonso.
Tony Alonso. Okay, Tony Alonso.
We have the video.
Yes.
Yes. So he's spraying in graffiti the All In for Jeb logo. But
wait. Yes.
All In for Jeb. So that was Jeb. But on the other hand, we also had a very exciting event with Hillary Clinton. On Saturday, Roosevelt Island was transformed into Hillary Island.
We have got to cross to Roosevelt Island because it transformed it. So many things to say about Roosevelt Island. And,
Clinton has also been embracing social media. She's been immediately posting videos of her speech. She tried out Periscope on Saturday, and she also posted the same on Instagram. We can see...
This is basically, that's the Hillary...
and you see, she also posts a photo of the family. And she also had a new video posted, just like Jeb.
Video.
Let's see it.
Let's see.
What is a fighter? To me, a fighter is someone who won't give up.
Look, they gave her the silhouette profile. It's slightly, Steve Jobsy.
It's interesting that Hillary is trying a new campaign strategy of getting personal. We can see that demonstrated in this video. Polls show us that one of her biggest challenges is to convince voters that she is genuine, that she is honest. A recent CNN poll said that 57% of Americans don't find her honest. So part of her challenge is to get personal, and she's using social media quite extensively to do that. But we've been talking about the fact that these are Instagram elections. Actually, it turns out, I don't want to admit, but these are Snapchat elections. Snapchat is a messaging app that is very popular amongst the young generations. It allows users to send...
I don't even know what Snapchat is.
Yeah, because you don't have a teenager at home. I have a little sister.
That's why I was looking at Tyler Heinrich here.
I don't know.
Okay.
And Snapchat basically allows you to send photo messages to friends that last about a few seconds before they disappear, but it also has another function called Stories that allows users to post snaps that are viewable to everyone for 24 hours. And both Jeb and Hillary turned to Snapchat for their kickoffs. And unfortunately, we can't show that because it's only 24 hours. But basically, Snapchat can be the next revolution in digital technologies in these elections. Snapchat has hired 2 veteran journalists from CNN to come and be in charge of the news cycle on this election campaign. It's very interesting to follow that.
No, incredibly so.
But other GOP candidates...
And it's interesting because, you know, I think even both AOL, big digital companies are trying to hone in on these elections. Apropos social media, this is going to be the digital elections in the United States. Yes.
Okay, other GOP candidates this week, just very
Please,
quickly.
because there are a million of them.
Yeah, well, Ben Carson celebrated National Pet Week.
Stop! Yes, I'm voting.
He has a series of them. It's not only a cat. Let's see the next one. Then we have dogs. Run, Ben, run. And we have a horse.
Yes.
Blanco Dakota for Carson 2016. Rick Santorum also had a thing with a dog. He has a new member to the Santorum family, Darcy.
Who wants to move to the White House.
Who wants to move to the White House, like Bo.
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz, no pets. He misses Ronald Reagan. Let's see what he posted this week.
What did he post?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Mr. Gorbachev.
Because I think if you are a Republican and you want to win, maybe the last not tarnished president was President Reagan. But to bring him up as what? This is the man he wants to emulate?
This is his icon. Many Americans would agree.
No, many Americans would agree, and I want to put it, the only thing I will say is that many Americans would agree that the man who was a Hollywood star, B-star, by the way, B-movie rated star, is the president that they miss the most.
Well, I'm waiting for George Clooney.
Yeah, and you know it's going to happen.
I know!
And you know it's going to happen. Yes, okay.
Okay, staying in the U.S., just Iran-U.S. hardliners. Interesting. We called it insta-patriotism. John Boehner, Speaker of the House, on Sunday, it was Flag Day, which commemorates the adoption of the U.S. flag, which happened on Sunday that day in 1777. It's also the celebration of the U.S. Army birthday. John Boehner posted a video to Instagram.
Please, John Boehner, take it away. Oh, sorry, we do not have that video.
We do not have that video?
Maybe it was a Snapchat.
So let's move on to our next item, and this is local.
Local.
Have you heard?
Back to the Levant.
Back to the Levant, but a very, very nice initiative, a very nice social media campaign we are very proud of.
Yes.
Called No Heels. The El Al the El Al Air Company this week issued a new directive that required female stewardess to wear high heels on the plane until all passengers are seated. This evoked a strong protest with actually hundreds of flight attendants signing a petition against the directive, and also women organizations protesting, and a social media protest with the hashtag Bli Akevim, which means without heels, which was joined by lawmakers. So we see, this is Tamar Zandberg from the Meretz Party. We also saw Michal Rozin from the Meretz Party. Tzipi Livni.
Yeah, we got to discuss this.
I know you want to say something about it. Well, first of all, let's say the caption. Let's read the caption.
Yeah.
These are the shoes I wore today to the House of Lords. She's visiting London. Whomever demands someone walks on heels should take 10 steps back. That's a nice
It's a beautiful line.
caption.
I must discuss, and you know what? I am a woman. We're allowed to be catty. Golden loafers.
I'm more concerned about the black stockings.
Yeah, with the golden loafers, horrific. But I would like to, state the point that I completely agree, because there we go.
Well.
Oh, and there's that! Bravo! I'm just, don't even try.
I believe in
you
heels.
took 10 steps back, and I'm
Two more interesting posts on that is Karine El-Arar, who's from the Yesh Atid party, who actually drives in a wheelchair.
Right.
She's handicapped. She also posted a photo, which is actually a nice gesture.
That's beautiful.
She says, I never wear heels. It's the most uncomfortable thing. And Sheli Yachimovich from the Labor Party, who was the first actually to change her profile picture. But she actually had a really nice suggestion.
With the flip-flops,
She suggested that all the male executives in El Al begin to wear high heels, and maybe then they'll decide about their directive.
Exactly.
Do we have time for just one last item? Okay, because this one's for you. You know who Benjamin Netanyahu met last week?
No.
Art Garfinkel.
Yes. And so did my mother. Oh my God, that's art?
Yes.
That's art.
He told him that he often listens to, that is like one of his favorite songs. It's The Boxer. So now you can start singing la la la, la 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 la.
And with that, we're gonna have to finish the show because I don't remember the words.
Well,
that was it. I'm hearing the Oscar music in my ear because nobody wants us to sing. I-24 News Morning Edition. Check us out tomorrow morning for another edition, The Place You Should Be, because Tal Shalev has things like this. So there we go. Now the news.